Hey, what is up, everybody? I'm here to give you a Read Aloud series for The Adventures of Tom Sawyer. Uh, the, Now I'm going to be doing Chapter 10. I can't believe I'm already on Chapter 10. It feels like it doesn't even really feel legit. Yeah, I'm starting to make progress with this video. Not even, I'm only like a 10th way through the book, though, because there's like 35 chapters, so I'm not even really done yet. But this chapter is called The Solemn Oath. It starts on page 77 and ends on page 85. So I'm just going to get right into it. If you want to check out my chapters 1 through 9 Read Aloud series on the playlist I still have to remember to make sure to click right up there. And I'm just going to get started. The two boys fled on and on toward the village, speechless with horror. They glanced backward over their shoulders from time to time, apprehensively as if they feared they might be followed. Every stump that started up in their path seemed a man and an enemy, and made them catch their breath. And as they sped by some outlying cottages, they lay near the village, and barking of the aroused watchdogs seemed to give wings to their feet. "If we can only get to the old tannery before we break down," whispered Tom in short catches between breaths. "I can't stand it much longer." Huckleberry's hard painting were his only reply, that and the boys fixed their eyes on the goal of their hopes and bent to their um, work to win it. They gained steadily on it, and at last, breast to breast, they burst through the open door, and fell grateful and exhausted in the sheltering shadows beyond. By and by their pulse slowed down, and Tom whispered, "Huckleberry, what do you reckon? What do you reckon come of this? If Dr. Robertson dies, I reckon I'll come, Hayden will come of it." Sorry, my my allergies have just been brutal lately, as I've mentioned before. "Do you, though?" "Why, I know it, Tom." Tom thought a while, then he said, "Who'll tell we? What are you talking about? Suppose something happened and Injun Joe didn't hang. Why, he'd kill us sometime or other just as dead sure as we're a-layin' here." "That's just what I was thinking to myself, Huck. If anybody tells, let Muff Potter do it. Muff Potter do it. He he's foolish enough. He's generally drunk enough." Tom said nothing, went on thinking. Presently he whispered, "Huff, Huck, Muff Potter don't know it. How can he tell?" "What's the reason he don't know it?" "Because he just got that whack when Injun Joe done it." "Do you reckon he could see anything? Do you reckon he knowed anything?" "By hooky, that's so, Tom. And besides, looky here, maybe that whack done for him." "No, 'tain't likely, Tom. He had liquor in him. I could see that, and besides, he always has. Well, when Pap's full, you might take and belt him over the head with a church, and you couldn't faze him. He said so his own self. So it's the same with Muff Potter, of course. But if a man was dead sober, I reckon maybe that whack might fetch him. I don't know." After another reflective silence, Tom said, "Hucky, you are sure you can keep mum?" "Tom, we got to keep mum. You know that. That Injun devil wouldn't make any more of drowning us than a couple of cats if we was to squeak about this. And this didn't hang him. Now, looky here, Tom, let's take and swear to one another. That's what we got to swear. What we got to do, swear to keep mum. So this pretty much is probably where the name of the chapter comes in. I'm agreed. It's the best thing. Would you just hold hands and swear that we... Oh no, that wouldn't do for this. That's good enough for little rubbishy common things. Especially with gals, 'cause they go back on you anyway and blab if they get in a huff. That's actually pretty funny. But they'll oughter be writing about a big thing like this and blood. Tom's whole being applauded this idea. It was deep and dark and awful. The hour, the circumstances, the surroundings were in keeping with it. He picked up a clean pine shingle that lay in the moonlight, took a little fragment of red keel out of his pocket, with got the moon of his on his work, and painfully scrawled these lines, emphasizing each slow downstroke by clamping his tongue beneath his teeth and letting up the pressure on the upstrokes. And this is what it says. And because it has like a big thing, like the way he wrote it. I don't know if you can see that or not. And you probably can't because I always forget that this webcam's like looking into a mirror. Your Finn and Tom Sawyer smears they will keep mum about this, and they wish they may uh, so or down dead in their tracks if they ever tell and rat. I think that's supposed to say rat or rot. I can't really exactly make it out because it's in cursive. Huckleberry was filled with admiration of Tom's faculty in writing, and they submidly of his language. He at once took a pin from his lapel and was going to prick his flesh, but Tom said, "Hold on, don't do that. A pin's brass. It might have Veta grease on it." What's Veta grease? It's pigeon. Pigeon. That's what it is. You just swallow some of it once, you'll see. So Tom unwounded the thread from one of his needles, and each boy pricked the ball of his thumb and squeezed on a drop of blood. In time, after many squeezes, Tom managed to sign his initials using the ball of his little finger for a pen. Then he showed Huckleberry how to make a H and an F, and the oath was complete. They buried the shingle close to the wall with some male ceremonies and incantations, and the fetters that bound their tongues were considered to be locked and the key thrown away. A figure creeped steadily through a break in the other end of the ruined building now, but they did not notice it. "Tom," whispered Huckleberry Finn, "does this keep us from ever telling always?" "Of course it does. Don't make it any different what happens. We got to keep mum. We'd drop down dead, don't you know that?" "Yes, I reckon that's so." They continued to whisper for some little time. Presently a dog set up a long, lugubrious howl just outside, within 10 feet of them. The boys clasped each other suddenly in an agony of fright. "Which of us does he mean?" gasped Huckleberry. "I don't know," peeped through the crack quick. "Now you, Tom." "No, you, Tom." I can't do it, Huck." "Please, Tom." "There 'tis again." "Oh, Lordly, I'm thankful," whispered Tom. "I know his voice. It's Bull Harbinson." If Bull Harbinson had owned a slave named Bull, Tom would have spoken to him as Harbinson's Bull. but a son or dog of that name was Bull Harbinson. That's actually pretty funny. And I think this is a picture. I'm not sure if you can see that. I can't really tell because of the sun. Of Tom looking through the hole and Huckleberry Finn nervous. Oh, that's good. I tell you, Tom, I was scared to death. I'd bet anything it was a stray dog. The dog howled again. The boy's heart sank once more. Oh my, that ain't no Bo Harbinson, whispered Huckleberry. Do, Tom. Tom, quaking with fear, yielded and put his eye to the crack. His answer was hardly audible when he said, "Oh, Huck, it's a stray dog." "Quick, Tom, quick. Who does he mean?" "Huck, he must mean us both. We're right together. Oh, Tom, I reckon we're goners. I reckon there ain't no mistake about where I'll go to. I've been so wicked." "Dad, fetch it. This comes of playing hooky and doing everything a feather's told not to do. I might have been good like Sid if I'd have tried, but no, I wouldn't, of course. But if I ever get off this time, I'll just waller in Sunday school." And Tom began to snuffle a little. "You bad," and Huckleberry began to snuffle too. "Consound it, Tom Sawyer, you're just old pie. Lawn side, oh, what I am, oh, lordy, lordy, I wish it I only had half your chance." Tom choked off and whispered, "Look, Hucky, look, he's got his back to us." Hucky looked with joy in his heart. "Well, he has, by Jean goes, did he before?" "Yes, he did. But I, like a fool, never thought. Oh, this is bully, you know. Now you can be mean." The howling stopped. Tom pricked up his ears. "Shh, what's that?" he whispered. "Sounds like hogs grunting." "No, it's somebody snoring, Tom." "That is it. Whereabouts is it, Puck?" "I believe it's down at other end. Sounds so. Oh, anyway, Pap used to sleep there sometimes. Lawn with the hogs, but laws bless you, he just lifts things where he snores. Besides, I reckon he ain't ever coming back to this town any more." The spirit of adventure rose in the boys' souls once more. "Hucky, do you dazzle to go if I lead?" I don't like too much Tom's pose. It's in John Joe." Tom quailed, but presently the temptation rose up strong again, and the boys agreed to try, with the understanding that they would take their heels if the storming stopped. So they went tiptoeing stealthily down, the one behind the door. When they had got to within 5 steps of the store, Tom stepped on a stick, and it broke with a sharp snap. The man moaned, withered a little, and his face came into the moonlight. It was Muff Potter. The boys' hearts had stood still, and their hopes too, when the man moved, but their fears passed away now. They tiptoed out through the broken weather boarding and stopped at a little distance to exchange a parting word. That long, lugubrious howl rose on the night air again. They turned and saw the strange dog standing within a few feet of where Potter was lying, and facing Potter with his nose pointed heavenward. "Oh, Jiminy, it's him!" exclaimed both boys in a breath. "Say, Tom, they say a stray dog came howling around Johnny Miller's house 'bout midnight, as much as 2 weeks ago, and a whippoorwill come in and lit on the banisters and sun the very same evening, and there ain't anybody dead there yet. Well, I know that. And suppose didn't Gracie Miller fall in the kitchen fire and burn herself terribly the very next day? Holy shit. Yes, but she ain't dead. And what's more, she's getting better, too. Now, I'm not trying to laugh at it. It just sounds fucked up, you know what I'm saying? Alright, you wait and see. She's a goner, just as dead, sure as Muff Potter's a groaner. That's what the niggers say, and they know all about these kind of things, Huck. Then they separated, cogitated when Tom creeped in at his bedroom window. The night was almost spent. He undressed with excessive caution and fell asleep, congratulating himself that nobody knew of his escapade. But he was not aware that the gently snoring Sid was awake, and he had been so for an hour. When Tom awoke, Sid was dressed and gone. There was a late look in the light, a late sense in the atmosphere. He was startled. Why he had not been called, persecuted till he was up as usual. The thought filled him with forebodings. Within 5 minutes, he was dressed and downstairs, feeling sore and drowsy. The family was still at the table, and they had finished breakfast. There was no voice of rebuke, but they were averted, but there were eyes. There was a silence and an air of solemnity that struck a chill to the culprit's heart. He sat down and tried to seem gay, being happy, but it was uphill work. It roused no smile, no response, and he lapsed into silence and let his heart sink down to the depths. After breakfast, his aunt took him aside, and Tom almost brightened to the hope that he was going to be flogged, but it was not so. His aunt wept over him and asked him how he could go and break her old heart, and finally told him to go on and ruin himself and bring her gray hairs with sorrows to the grave. Ooh. For it was no use for her to try any more. There was worse than 1,000 whippings, and Tom's heart was sorer now than his body. He cried, he pleaded for forgiveness, promised reform over and over again, and then received his dismissal, feeling that he had won but an imperfect forgiveness and established but a feeble confidence. He left the presence too miserable to even feel revengeful towards Sid, and so the latter's prompted retreat through the back gate was unnecessary. He moped to school gloomily and sad, and took his flogging along with Joe Harper for playing hooky the day before, with the air of one whose heart was busy with heavier woes and holy dread to trifles. Then he betook himself to his seat, rested his elbow on his desk and his jaw in his hands, and stared at the wall with stony stare of suffering that he has reached the limit and can no further go. His elbow was pressing against some hard substance. After a long time, he slowly and sadly changed his position and took up this object with a sigh. It was in a paper. He unrolled it, and long lingered colossal sigh followed, and his heart broke. It was his brass and Andrian knob. This final feather broke the camel's back. And then that's the end of the chapter. Pretty much, I thought this was a great chapter. Tom Sawyer and Huckleberry Finn having to do their adventure, having to get back to the house. Them swearing not to say anything about what they saw with Muff Potter, killing Dr. Robinson. And, you know, they can't tell anybody because they know they'll probably get killed by Muff Potter. Them trying to sneak back to the house. You know, obviously, Sid told Aunt Polly what happened, and Aunt Polly said that, you know, you lost pretty much all my faith and stuff, and that she just doesn't know what to think of him anymore. Then he goes to school, and then Becky Thatcher gives him back the doorknob that she had given her, that he had given her, pretty much meaning that the relationship was over. And it just kind of, you can't help but kind of feel bad for Tom, but he kind of brings this upon himself a little bit too, because he's stuck out of the house. So it's kind of like, you know, so I kind of like the way this story is really working so far. It's actually really enjoyable. That was a great chapter. But that's pretty much it, guys. Please make sure to subscribe to my CM Brothers channel, because I posted a video on there last night. And make sure to subscribe to this channel for more content. That's pretty much it, guys. Talk to you later.